Yeah, Riven will round that out as well for the second round of bans. Ziggs being another ban here. So a couple from different lanes here. Two top laners, two mid laners, and a third mid laner of Kassadin will round out the bans. So very similar to game number one. That will leave Mundo. That leaves Shyvana available as well. And Elise, which looks like a pickup that Cloud9 will be looking at here as their first pick.
Yeah, Elise is always a very just solid pickup. It's never usually like completely targeted bans when there's a lot of strong top laners. You're usually spending a ban as like a targeted ban, usually one on Annie as well, and then Elise just gets through, but there's always just a very consistent pick, so we're just gonna see that here.
Yeah, very consistent. And as the second pickups, that's very, very tanky, strong pickups. They've managed to pick up both Mundo and Shyvana on their first round of pickups. So already building that front line that is also current in the meta right now. One of them will, of course, have to go jungle, but both can fulfill that role, although it's been quite a while since we've seen Mundo in the jungle.
It is most likely going to be Shyvana there because it's more consistent. Mundo has a slightly weaker top lane in the first couple of levels, but then he just becomes Mundo and doesn't care anymore. So we'll see what Cloud9 do in this situation. There's a couple options, but it's very difficult to just say, okay, this champion works perfectly against Mundo or Shyvana. They're just incredibly good right now.
Now, ooh, wow, okay, that might be a placeholder. Of course, this is on the live client, so not every player has every champion, so Trundle may not be Trundle. Hopefully we can get some confirmation on that, but if it is, that's a very different pickup to anything we've seen recently. A not so different pickup is Sivir. Wow, I nearly forgot her name. Sivir and Karma. Now, Sivir's seen a resurgence back into that bottom lane AD carry position as her split pushing ability is oh so strong right now.
Yes, because you don't see I always misdid it then. You don't see Sivir every game, so you keep thinking, oh, it's Shyvana, and then you just screw up. But we will see Sivir alongside Shyvana, which will be very confusing for a caster's brain. But on the opposing team, Jinx has also been locked in. So, we're gonna, as you said, find some confirmation, see if Trundle is a placeholder or not. Not a champion I've seen for a while, and a champion that I had literally forgotten existed in League of Legends. So we'll see what they do.
Now, Gragas has been locked in. That's a fairly standard pick for that mid lane position. Gragas pretty much seen as one of the more consistent mid lane picks right now. Of course, just has so much damage, so much control over the game. If that Skarner gets locked in, I have a feeling that's going to be another placeholder pick, as not often that we see Skarner at all. Oh, they will change it over. I believe they're looking for their mid laner right now, so Orianna is another possibility. Orianna Gragas is a very often seen matchup in the past few weeks.
Yeah, indeed, and Orianna will work perfectly with Dragon Descent. They have a lot of mobility, also picking up the Karma, which is not a pick for the laning phase, but is a pick for the mid lane and the mid game and late game because of the mobility it gives your team. Also, the kind of synergy it has alongside On the Hunt from Sivir. It just gives huge mobility, and by picking Sivir and Karma, it's literally just to get Mundo and Shyvana into the fight.
Okay, so they haven't backed out of the game. So that looks like Trundle is actually going to be a pickup here.
Ooh.
I wonder whether that's because, and again, Trundle's not very commonly seen, so this is going to be a bit of a questionable game here. Not sure on where that'll go, but if I'm remembering rightly, Trundle actually does have armor reduction. They did rework Trundle, and some of his skills work a little bit differently to they did before, so maybe they're looking for that. I know Trundle can trade fairly well. I'm not sure exactly how well against a top laner like Mundo.
Trundle is one of the best champions at a one-on-one trade. His biggest problem is literally being kited. He can one-on-one basically anyone. I'm not actually sure how well he operates specifically against Shyvana and Mundo because we haven't seen him in such a long time. But Trundle's main quirk in Season 2, Season 3 was just his immense trading potential. We just never saw him because there were much better picks. So we'll just have to see how this one pans out.
Yeah, I'm looking through his abilities, and it looks like, of course, he will steal away a percentage of health and armor and magic resistance away from his opponent. So, I mean, as you said, he does have good trading potential 1v1. Just not a pick that we've seen all that much. Now, Cloud9 have been fairly well hyped. We'll discuss a little bit more of this as we come back from the break. We are going to head to a very short break here, guys, as we head into game number 1 between Cloud9 Europe and Reason Gaming. Welcome back, and we're into game number one here between Cloud9 Europe and Reason Gaming, and this is going to be one of the most high-profile series you'll see today because it's Cloud9 Europe's first outing in a competitive format, and I cannot wait to see how they do.
Yeah, there's a lot of good teams here today, Stress, but this is one of the most anticipated as Ku is moving forward. Ku has found himself in many different teams in recent months and is an exceptional jungler. I believe there's a highlight on Chaos TV of him going huge as Lee Sin. So he's a very mechanically skilled player.
Funnily enough, Ku used to play on Reason Gaming with a few other players that have found themselves in other teams on the European Challenger scene. So both teams don't want to be too aggressive now in the opening, and Cloud9 have had a lot of high praise from players such as Wicked, who tweeted earlier this week that Cloud9 Europe gave them some of the stiffest competition in all scrims, so that includes LCS teams as well, when they scrimmed them with Alliance earlier this week. So how will Cloud9 cope in a competitive environment?
Absolutely, and this is of course the Tricked team, which has been picked up by Reason Gaming, who are again very strong. Barney D and the rest of his team are just very solid, so we'll just have to see how Cloud9 pair up against this lineup.
And there's a couple of different matchups in this game that are a little bit different to what we normally see. Of course, Trundle is a very different pick to what we normally will see up in that top lane. And maybe it's something that Odamna has been running against this meta of these strong tank top laners. Meanwhile, there's a face check down in the bottom.
Wow, already with the action, Flay comes across, but Jinx has already been dropped to 30% HP at 2 minutes.
Now, I was having a conversation during the load screen, actually, with Athero Angel, one of the supports from the UK, who actually said he played this matchup against Barney D yesterday, which is the Thresh versus Karma matchup. And especially alongside Sivir, there's a lot of harass that comes out from the Karma Sivir lane. Sivir nowadays, according to Choba and some of the guys over at OGN, will look to put more damage into their ricochet rather than into the boomerang, so that you harass through the wave. Karma, on top of that, will mantra her Q every so often and add additional harass damage down in that bottom lane. So there's a fair amount of harass that Reason will look to lay down on the pairing from Cloud9.
Yeah, and if there's no minion wave, then Karma's gonna hit her Q, and that's the only thing that really holds Barney D's Karma back from really doing anything. And that early trade was so unbelievably good because they've already got the dominance in the bottom lane.
We'll have to watch how that goes. We've seen Voidal time and time again has been a very high-profile support, so he definitely knows how to use Thresh to his potential. Will he get that ability in this game?
Yeah, so I feel like Trundle's going to get the most out of this lane, as Forbidden takes a huge amount of damage in the middle lane. But up against Mundo, his early game is going to be superior in a straight one-on-one trade. Up until like level 6, and even at level 6, he should be able to go toe-to-toe without any jungler intervention. But against Shyvana, I feel like the tail would have been slightly different. But this time around, Mundo's going to find it a little bit harder to lane versus that Odomne on Trundle for the first couple levels.
And we haven't seen the early ganks come out of either jungler yet, which is just one of those things that Shyvana, as a jungler, doesn't really gank all that easily. She more relies on your team winning lane and then counter-jungling to take experience away from the opposition jungler. However, Elise, in the early game, is going to be able to trade incredibly well in the jungle, so you can't really get in there this early as Shyvana, and that's why we're seeing this passive start from both junglers.
Yeah, most of the time we'll see Shyvana either counter-ganking, trying to use that double buff early to get a gank or maybe 2 off, and then apart from that just farming her jungle, then farming the opponent jungle, and then when she sees Elise going for a gank, then try to just steal some creeps away from the jungle at that time.
Voidal looks to go aggressive. They managed to get that Mantra'd shield off from Sivir, which gives them good disengage. It's almost the same as a Talisman of Ascension, really, whenever they want to use it, provided Mantra is available.
Yeah, and when we hit the middle stages of this game, Stress, that's really where Sivir and Karma will start to shine, because of the On the Hunt, and also the Mantra'd up Defiance is going to allow them to just move around the map, disengage, re-engage very easily. Voidal lands the Death Sentence into the Flay, follow-up from Jinx as well. Zap will be easily duped out of the fight as Sivir just throws down some more boomerangs.
And that's a really nice trade out from Cloud9. They managed to find Reason away from their minion line and get into a position where they couldn't contest. Oh, very nice hook onto Barney.
Yeah, at a right angle as well. Auto attacks will follow, and it's not quite enough to drop him. Shyvana is sitting behind, though, so if they do get him into the right place in a pinch, she will just instantly nuke one of these players down.
Junglers were opposite sides of the map. There was no gank available up in that top lane. Very difficult to gank there, but the hook lands again.
Indeed, and the tether will lock Voidal down. Chrisland will drop for the first blood, but now we do a trashing from the backside. Picks up one, looking for the second. Bonnie is going to be so incredibly careful, but Jinx is committed to this fight as Trashy just wails away at him. Flash comes down, Flash in return, barrier as well. It doesn't look like he's going to get out. Trashy picks up the second kill.
Burnout and the auto attacks is enough for Trashy to pick that one up. The hooks so far have been great out of Voidal. He's landed 3 for 3 already in this laning phase, but with Shyvana's presence, it's just too much for Cloud9 to take there, and they trade 2 for 1 overall. 2 kills onto Shyvana could become very problematic here for Cloud9 because Shyvana is a great jungler when your lanes are ahead, and even better when your lanes are ahead and she has kills.
Yeah, absolutely, and it means that if she's ahead of Elise, who is actually a very good duelist, then Elise, even if she's not ganking those lanes, Shyvana moves into her jungle 1 versus 1s and will win, because those spiderlings will just die to burnout damage, and of course, the flame breath. So, it's looking not very good for Ku right now. He's going to have to play this very skittish. Now,
looking up at the top lane, you can see Binsu is trying to stack as much in that frozen lane as possible. It just means that every time Odoamne wants to try and come forward and attack him, he's fighting within a minion wave, and even though he's going to have increased health regeneration on Trundle, it's just going to be difficult for him to fight if there's that much going, especially now that Binsu is level 6, and that's going to be a tough lane to get any kills from now.
Yeah, and we're looking towards the mid lane because it's the only lane we haven't really touched on, but because it's Orianna Gragas past the first couple levels, it really isn't much that happens at all, Stress. They just farm it out. Maybe if they catch them out of position, they'll hit them with the barrel or hit them with the shockwave, but aside from that, they'll just farm this wave out, and we can see how even the lane is, as both these guys have exactly the same amount of farm.
And it looks like Ku's taking a page out of Cloud9 North America's books, because normally we know Ku as a very aggressive jungler, very early game focused, likes to make plays with ganks on champions like Elise, but he's been caught in his own jungle here, and he's getting dueled out by Trashy.
Yep, and that will mean that the blue buff will be going to Ku as a result. The flash is down, meaning that if Shyvana finds him in another compromising position, he will not be able to get out again.
And that's just, as I was trying to take a point on, Ku has been farming a little bit more than we normally see out of him, and it's just meant that he hasn't had the pressure out, and maybe Cloud9 aren't quite used to him playing quite so farm-centric yet. However, Voidal has been doing work with the hooks. That one not quite hitting the mark, though.
Yeah, and there we go. Gragas was trying to steal that away, but wasn't there quite in time. And I agree completely. If anyone hasn't watched Ku before, he's a very aggressive jungler, follows the same sort of styles as like Svenskeren and Shook as well, who go for these champions like Lee Sin, which is very aggressive. Ku finds himself in the top lane. Flash has already been preemptively used by Mundo, so he doesn't take any damage at all, wasting no time.
Yeah, managed to get away from the cocoon as well. Even though he had his ultimate available, didn't want to risk getting caught there. However, knowing that Ku's up in that top lane might have been an opening for Reason to rotate around, but with bottom lane pushing in very smartly out of Cloud9, not really any way that they could have rotated to Dragon quite yet, as Shyvana wasn't in place.
Yeah, so we're hitting the stage in the game where Dragon is a very real possibility, and Trashy finds himself Ku, who will just punt him around, and Sen cuts in the mid lane, forced to use his ultimate defensively. Bottom lane, however, more action is coming off as the box comes down. Barney D will be dropping in return for the opposing support, so support for a support, 1-for-1 trade. Not going to be too unhappy with that, with both of the supports picking up the kills as well.
And this time, Cloud9's bottom lane know that they can't overextend like they did. They traded kill 1-for-1, but Shyvana had crossover wards in the middle of the map. So really, a much better play this time out of Jinx to not stick around, although he has shoved that wave out, and they risk Shyvana rotating around. But Shyvana actually might be caught here.
Yep, or he's just caught himself a Jinx. Dragon Descent comes down for even more damage, juking in front of him to increase the burnout damage, and jumps forwards. Flame Breath picks up the kill, and Ku does not want to go on in this.
Miscommunication there out of Cloud9, because Gragas was on his way down. Forbidden looked like they knew exactly where Shyvana was, which was why I was so convinced that Shyvana was caught out. Forbidden returns to the middle lane, and Ku kept farming, And it looked like Cloud9 just weren't communicating properly there at all, and it's allowing Reason the opportunity to get this dragon. And that is a good lead here with that global objective going down for Reason.
And those 2 early kills onto Shyvana, that early ripple has just turned into a tidal wave for them, and means that there's no real presence from Ku because he can't afford to. There's no way he can even sit in his own jungle safely, let alone go into the mid and top lanes and indeed the opposing jungle. So he's 0-0-0, has gone for the mobility boots as a kind of more risky play to get himself back into the game, whereas Trashy does need to play it slow, go with the 3-0-0, higher farm and CS, and just go for a more tanky conservative build.
There's a lot of focus on this top lane as Cloud9 are looking for the gank.
But Bivin lands the explosive cast and doesn't even require Q, so 1 assist in the top lane. I'm probably going to drop this on the top of that.
Cloud9's top laner, Odo Amna, is looking actually quite good in this Trundle matchup, but has the CS advantage over Dr. Mundo and hasn't even been back to buy yet. Will go back with 3,000 gold on his person. That is a hefty amount to have been able to get this advantage without recalling for.
Yeah, it was very funny because we were watching him just trade blow for blow with Mundo. Even Mundo had bought an entire full item in the form of Sunfire Cape. Trundle was just sitting happily on Doran's shield, just fighting him away. It didn't even matter. Now he's gone back, picked up his own Sunfire Cape. So it just shows his trading potential. However, when we get into team fights, he just doesn't bring anything near to the level that Mundo will. So he's going to basically be exclusively the top lane push.
And this is a little bit different to what we saw earlier. Earlier, MYM were the team that had the dragon control, but the rest of the map was theirs as well. This time, Cloud9, yes, they didn't get the first dragon of the game, but they've started to take turrets and push their lanes out. And that's the difference between the teams, is the control of this lane is just so much better for Cloud9 that they're actually even after giving away a little bit of map control earlier. We'll see how they can convert that as they are going aggressive constantly in this bottom lane.
Going to be some very interesting dynamics as we hit teamfight stages, because we've mentioned that On the Hunt and also Defiance from Bonnie D will be used to allow Shyvana and Mundo to get onto the backlines or indeed enter the teamfight, as Ku find himself Crystalline, though will not actually connect, it will be spell shielded, and the teleporting from behind from Mundo should be enough to secure some more kills. Vorda with the perfect box, locks up Crystalline, locks up Bonnie D, the Boomerang Blade will claim Ku's life.
And that's how good that On the Hunt ultimate ability from Sivir is. That extra movement speed for the entire team mixed with the Mantrid shield out of Karma just makes it so that you cannot get away from this team. This is a very OGN style team composition that Reason are running. It's heavily movement speed centric and allows them to catch anybody that they end up picking off, especially with that teleport out of Mundo. Means they can convert any kind of picks here. And they look to get the turret, however Trashy's been locked up.
They're going for this trade, 3 versus 2. We'll see what they can do here, 1 for 1 so far. Voidal will fall in the process. Not entirely sure if that was worth the trade, but Voidal will fall to Crystalline.
The turret and a double kill for Reason is going to make that difficult for Cloud9. Odo Amna is looking for a kill in the middle lane. They're going past the turrets.
He is so incredibly tanky. The ultimate will be used, barely scratches for Vivian and Domne, and the kill will be picked up.
And this is really a story of 2 halves of the map. Reason are doing so incredibly well in the bottom lane that they're getting trades every time. Meanwhile, in the top side of the map, Cloud9 have full control over this. Mid lane is going in their favor and top lane as well. How are Reason going to be able to convert their bottom lane advantage to offset the advantage that Cloud9 have in the top lane? This is a very back and forth and close game.
And we won't know until we see a full-on interaction. Because the game has been entirely split, there has been no convergence of everyone into a single objective. We don't know who's going to be stronger. And right now, Trundle, as we've mentioned, is not going to be as effective in a team fight as, say, a Mundo, who is doing well. But that pressure from Trundle means that Mundo cannot go toe-to-toe. So we'll see if we see a play from Reason Gaming, which peels Trundle away from the top.
A 2-0 Gragas, though, is going to be fairly difficult to deal with, because the one thing that this movement speed combination team doesn't have is the standard Olaf pick in the jungle, which is really what you would like to use in this position to get through to the backline. This time, Reason are susceptible to an explosive cast out of Gragas to really just deny any kind of engage that they have, because they don't have anybody who can't be stopped. So Reason have to be careful that Forbiven doesn't get some excellent ults off in the team fights in the mid game.
Well, that is basically the only spanner in the work, because if that explosive cask does not land perfectly, as we see the aggression from Ku onto Beansu in the top lane, ultimate has been dropped. Not sure if he's going to go any further with this one. Indeed, he won't cocoon on another 2 seconds. But if that explosive cask whiffs, then they win the team fight. If the explosive cask hits, then Cloud9 are in a way better shape.
We'll see whether they can channel the powers of Cloud9 North America, who really just ran rampant. This is a play that you wouldn't normally see Cloud9 North America make, but it's the confidence, certainly. And Odo Amna is going to be able to deal a fair amount of damage here. I don't think they're actually going to be able to do this, as the wards do come over the back. A bold play, but I think it's a little too early for this team to start doing it.
Little bit of a shame, especially with Oriana just reading that, but they could definitely do it. Trundle and Elise combined, they can sustain through that. It will take them a while, but especially if Reason Gaming have no reason to think they're anywhere else, then they can easily pick up that Baron. But right now, they're going to have to continuously concede objectives or just go for ballsy steal attempts.
I see what you did there. Reason will be able to pick up Dragon because of the map positioning out of Cloud9. They knew that they were around the Baron and had forced them back. So a good pickup there from Reason. And again, the gold lead has swung. Reason now with a 1,000 gold advantage, but that can be turned on its head just as quickly as Cloud9 taking a turret. However, Reason, a very nice rotation, have caught Cloud9 completely unawares, taking down that already damaged mid lane turret.
And he knew even with Gragas being there, he would just very happily use his barrel to clear that one out. Chrislin has been found out by Ku, but that's 4 men against 2 so far. We'll be using the Lantern to great effect, getting him out of dodge, and Domine coming in from the top lane does not quite collapse onto any target.
And this is one of the differences between the teams that is one of the more interesting things about this game is Cloud9 Europe are a very new team. They were apples is sours on the ladder. However, Tricked played together for a very long time. They've had a couple of changes in their lineup, but there are players here that have played together for a while. And it looks like Barney D might be cut out.
Oh, fantastic flash over the wall. That was a long flash. But they will be sitting underneath their turrets and just trying to stop Cloud9 from going for this push.
Ku is looking for the position over the wall, but it looks like Reason will have back just in time. No Cocoon coming out over the wall. And now Cloud9 look to siege this inner turret.
Yep, indeed, and they have the minion wave there. We'll see how quickly they can take this out with the bottom lane already returning, converting this into a 4 versus 4, but Jinx only needs a couple seconds with the turret before it will melt. But they are just choosing to back on out, especially with Mundo just battering down the top lane.
Cloud9 are really looking to accelerate this game as fast as possible, especially against the Shyvana Dr. Mundo combo. You can't let this go too late because those two will scale so very well. So Cloud9 are looking to siege inner towers early. They're looking for the Baron, which, as we mentioned, they can do, but it's a risky play that relies on Reason letting them do it. And it's just a case of Cloud9 trying to force this acceleration when they don't quite have a gold lead. So there's a lot of holding potential for Reason Gaming.
Yeah, like Cloud9 have to stabilize and then get ahead, which is a very difficult ask for them against Reason Gaming, because Reason Gaming, when they were tricked, are just a very consistent team. They'll never do something like completely out of the ordinary. They won't completely slip up, but maybe not necessarily they'll do something incredible. So Cloud9 have that consistency factor on their side, and then Ku is looking for this top lane gank, which so many times has just not worked out.
It might work out if Trashy does complete that recall and they can get a lot of damage onto Beansu. You can see a Bilgewater Cutlass on Odo Amna will allow them to stick to Beansu, even with that sadism if it's used after. But however, in the bottom lane, On the Hunt has been used. Here comes Chrislin.
Indeed, and they will just back off and farm the rest of that minion wave.
Flame Chompers, excellently put down there.
Indeed. And On the Hunt at least did speed up those minions into the jaws of Jinx.
You need that extra minion movement speed.
Yep, of course, that is the main reason we run Sivir in competitive play. Ku picking, in fact, will be taken by Trashy. There we go.
Yeah, they did manage to pick up their own red buff there, but one thing that is useful for having Sivir is her pushing potential. She really clears waves very quickly. Between the boomerang and the ricochet, just manages to just shove a lane pretty much in one combination. So that's something that you can watch here from the team's hook doesn't quite land from Voidal. Not quite getting as many as he did earlier in the game, but this is certainly back and forth once again. Reason just have to be careful that Ku isn't going to find them unawares.
Indeed, and well, Forbidden coming in from the side, and Crislin does have his spell shield in 4 seconds. Barney D, however, found himself in the spider's web and taken out by Cloud9's Jinx.
Really nice. Decision making by Ku could have landed the cocoon on the visible Crislin. They knew On the Hunt wasn't available, but Flash was available for Crislin, wasn't available for Barney D, as they knew they'd burned it earlier up in that engagement in the jungle. Also, no spell shield meant that Barney D was easy prey there for Cloud9.
Yeah, I'm also very tentative about using Jinx's actual name before I mutilate it, so if you're wondering why, that's why. And the wave will be instantly taken down by Gragas and the rest of his team, but Trashy off to the side might be the counter-engage they want, especially with Karma very close to the action. And again, just looking for those cocoons to come through, and Cloud9 don't want any of it.
Yeah, Cloud9 are, again, looking to siege that inner tower. They've got Odo Amna pushing in the top lane as Binsu's a little bit too strong for him to shove out to a point that he can really take that turret. Binsu looking for him, but won't go too far because he doesn't really want that one-on-one trade. But Cloud9 are being stemmed in their aggression, but this is starting to equalize a little bit between the two. It's such a close game with these varying team compositions that it's difficult to tell how this is going to go through the mid game. We're looking for Dragon, which is up in 50 seconds, and Baron as the objectives, because the rest of the towers right now are too difficult for Cloud9 to siege 4 members at.
Absolutely, and Dragon will become the focal point for the next couple of minutes. Neither teams want to go for a fight beforehand, but both teams will be looking and indeed fishing for a potential pick so they can easily pick up the Dragon. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of minutes, but now is a good time to take stock of the item build. So Orianna is actually coming back into the mid lane with a measly large rod, but Gragas has already finished the Rabdon Zefcat and indeed the Fiends and Holy Grail.
Cloud9 are going to consolidate their way through their own jungle, pick up their buffs, get wards back out on the map, and then look to take Dragon because it is up in 7 seconds. However, Sivir is around Crislin. Will he be able to get this pink ward? We'll take it out, but how much is it going to cost him here as Ku is looking for a cocoon?
Well, the answer is it will cost him the ultimate, which is one form of initiation, but the invisible dragon will be taken down by Cloud9.
One of those little vision bugs there. However, they do have to be careful that Cloud9 don't end up getting picks here outside of that team fight. Reason to have teleport available on Binsu, so any team fights will end up being 5-on-5 if Cloud9 tend to take them, but there's a lot of this presence in the bottom lane with the duo bot lane from Cloud9. Normally you'll see one member split push, but this time they're sending both Voidal and Jinx down, which is a little bit different to how teams have done it before. It means they're a little spread out on the map, but with their picks, I think they're able to do this. They've got good escapability, and with the ability to pick with the Thresh hook and with Ku, it's actually not too bad for them.
It feels like they're just sending both of these guys together because they'll know that Sivir by herself will outpush Jinx, and at the same time will be able to one-on-one Jinx because of the state of the game. So that's probably why Vordal just kind of sitting by him as Trashy, just casually walking towards Ku, but now they have returned with huge damage, and now Binsu has also entered the fight. Everyone is just trickling in, but the first to die will indeed be that Shyvana, as Voidal finally comes back from the bottom lane, beats Binsu, wow, I was having trouble pronouncing that name, flashes over the wall.
And Odo Amna actually, I believe, flashed aggressively into the fight, trying to get as much onto Binsu as he could to make sure he couldn't chase through that fight. So Odo Amna really just using Flash in the most aggressive manner possible.
Indeed, and it's just these small things here and there that's allowing Cloud9 to not only stabilize the game, which it is now, but also to get themselves ahead again. And that's really what we're looking for to change the shift of the game thus far. Ku has found himself caught and will be taken down by Reason Gaming, so scrap that. We've just swapped it in the opposing team's favor again as Jinx flows down. The Flame Chompers flash over from Barney D. Hook will not quite connect.
And this is the problem with trying to accelerate the game so quickly, is against a team composition that are already ahead of you, like the Reason Gaming composition, where you have that additional move speed and their ability to catch and keep up with the kiting that Reason do, is just so difficult, and Ku's overextending, trying to force picks, trying to force objectives, and he gets caught out for it, and it punishes him.
Yeah, and you have to find one person by themselves against this team of Reason Game, because as long as they're with Sivir or they're with Karma, or you find Shyvana, then they all have ways of getting out. Talisman Ascension and Defiance and On the Hunt, so difficult to kind of pick one person off. But Cloud9 making another aggressive play onto Baron. They know they can sustain through it, and they know if they go for the team fight after this, it's not going to be too bad. Beanstu will be initiated on Trullo, picks up the Baron. They will go for this fight. Frizzlin already popped the spell shield, and a huge explosive cast onto 5. Adamne falling onto Trashy. He will be forced to flash out. Burnout will be following him down, and indeed the ultimate, the super mega death rocket. Defiance comes through from that Karma, getting everyone else out of that fight.
Incredible positioning out of Voil and Odo Amner. They managed to land the box so that the 3 corners of the Pentagon were around that ramp. Then came the ice shard out of Odo Amner to make sure that the members of Reason that they caught, Beansu, was not able to get around it, and they chunked him down without Reason being able to come around the corner and do anything about it. They got a free pick there in that fight and have converted it. They've got Baron, they've more than equalize the gold and have that advantage now, and the kills are now even, and they look to accelerate through that top lane.
Yeah, and that finally has accelerated the game here, Stress. We were waiting for that click in this game, and it's finally happened. So 3k ahead, and the Baron will mean they'll look to take probably another objective. They'll look to group up and go for another one after that. So right now, Reason Gaming's play is to go through their jungle, clear it out, and try and get as many defensive wards as possible. So 1, they don't get picked, but 2, they see Cloud9 coming.
And not only that, to go back to that team fight, we talked earlier about how important Gragas' explosive casts are going to be. Forbidden actually knocked Orianna away from the fight, so there was no return damage out from Reason. And just Forbidden on point with that ultimate. Cloud9 working so well in these team fights, and maybe that's the Cloud9 that Wicked has talked about in tweets, where they're just outplaying in the team fights so well.
Yeah, very reminiscent of Copenhagen Wolves when he still had Reckless. It was just their ability to straight up win a team fight against anyone, no matter what the state of the game was at. Everyone just formed compositions around not going for a team fight against Copenhagen Wolves. So we'll see if Cloud9 can replicate some of that glory.
Yes, we do seem to have in the European Challenger that there's a team that just out-team fights everybody, and maybe that will be Cloud9. Who knows? That's something that yet to be seen, as we will see through Riot's Challenger as well, which will be taking place. Of course, the Chaos TV EUS Challenger Series as well will be going on all season long. So plenty of Challenger opportunities, and of course the Scan Invitational here, where we are in game number 1 of Cloud9 Europe going up against Reason Gaming. Scan Invitational powered by Netgear, Be Quiet, and Creative Sound Blaster.
Absolutely, and later on today, I believe we have some goodies up for grabs in the form of prizes and headsets. So do stick around for that. More details on how to win will be coming up at some point. I'm sure after this game we'll have some more information.
We will indeed. Odo Amner actually very confidently trying to come in through the side for the flank. That will give him the best possible opportunity to engage, but I think it's a little bit of a big ask now. Even though they have the Baron, they need a good team fight. Cloud9 can't just take any team fight.
Yeah, but they have rotated very well. In fact, just with Jinx and Odam, they were able to pick up a turret, because Jinx and a turret means there's not going to be a turret there for very long.
Yeah, that's not going to last very long indeed. And this time Cloud9 are the team that have found themselves the dragon. It have just spawned, so Cloud9 will take that one down now with a 4,000 gold lead. They might have found themselves a Sivir, but she's oh so mobile and does have On the Hunt available, so no chance of getting picked off there for Prisland.
Literally the only chance for Cloud9 to find themselves an easy pick is probably going to be the Orianna, because if they jump onto anyone else and completely collapse on them, they just... So right now, we do see the Siege coming in, and Q's going to be tanking this with his face because of the lack of minions, and we'll see if Reason Gaming go for the fight. Oh, perfect explosive cast will be enough to disengage or re-engage if they want it. The rest of the team is taking a lot of damage. Dragon Descent will be the commitment from Trashy, but it's already being disintegrated. Oh, damn, they're doing huge amounts of damage himself. Not something you expect from a Trundle. Flash from Forbidden, not quite enough to seal Barney's death, but they will carry on pushing the middle lane and no one can stay around.
Odo Amna is a beast right now. Nobody can touch him. He just stood in the front of that team fight and soaked as much damage and forced Reason to use all of their mobility to get away. I thought after they disengaged that fight, after the explosive cast came forward, that Cloud9 might have been in trouble there as Reason still had everything available, but Odo Amna is so incredibly strong right now that it all went into disengage.
Yeah, and he's had such a good game so far. He's not only itemized tanky, but has picked up the Blade of the Ruin King, so he will transition and actually have some damage to spend. Reason getting Bonnie D gets tagged by the Zap, pushing the rest of the team away. What a perfect explosive cast. Forbidden has been absolutely on point in this game.
Cloud9 have been absolutely on point by stacking all of their crowd control. That is something that is incredibly difficult to do with such a new team. Cloud9 are apples is sours who have only been playing for a couple of weeks, and to see the crowd control getting stacked quite so perfectly, you saw the hook into Flame Chompers after the explosive cask, is just incredible how good synergy they have in this team composition. Reason, however, still have in their favor the fact that a number of their champions scale very well, and if they can get Trashy and Beansu to a point where they have 3 or 4 completed items now, they may be able to stem the aggression out of Cloud9.
It sounded like you were going to say cloud control, and if it was me, I would have gone all the way with it. But yeah, indeed, their crowd control is very good with this team, and no doubt I will slip up later on because of that. But right now, Cloud9 are just in a very dominant position. There's not much else to say about that, and it's just down to Reason Gaming to try and do something defensively. But every time they've gone for an initiate, every time they've tried to make a defensive play, it's always backfired.
It has always backfired, and that is not what you want with this team composition. Normally people would, most teams would be happy to get this highly mobile team composition, but Odo Amna has thrown just a spanner in the works with this Trundle. It's not something that you would imagine all that much for that top lane, and it's doing incredibly well for him. He got an early lead and has been able to convert that into just amazing teamfight presence.
Yeah, indeed. So right now, Reason Gaming are actually pushing outside of their base, which is something they can do now with the recent changes to those inhibitors. They don't have to just sit in their base and cry. So now they can try and make some plays. But Trundle doing what he does best and just split pushing, and the only person they can feasibly commit to him is that Mundo.
Reason have farmed fairly well considering the amount of pressure they've been under. You look at 300 CS on Orianna, 277 on Sivir. Cloud9 once again are taking position at this Baron. You can see Pillar of Ice is actually just going to block 4 members of Reason from getting anything in the hook. Lands onto Trashy.
Oh, Voidal jumps over the wall, has immediately regretted his decision and flashes back out again.
Yeah, that Voidal looking a little bit overconfident in that one. They are ahead, but Reason, as we mentioned, have a couple of tanky members, and Trashy is not exactly the champion that you want to be hooking right now.
Yeah, I think he committed. It was like, no, thank you. I'll be getting out of here. And the pause comes out. Okay, so Trashy has in fact disconnected. So maybe that was Voidal was reading that. We'll go with that explanation.
Yeah, Voidal now will be thinking, oh no, I wasted Flash to get back out of
yeah.
But I think with Trashy having 2 members of his team around and Voidal's team all being around the corner, still not sure that Thresh can really 1v1 even a disconnected Shyvana right now. So
yeah.
Not sure that that was the best anyway. However, Cloud9, will they be able to accelerate this further? They have that inhibitor down in the middle lane. You can see that a couple of pings just went down, maybe looking to pressure that lane once again. But the one thing the Reason do have going for them in this situation is the immense wave clear they have. Orianna is good enough on her own using command attack. However, when you pair that with a Sivir, with Ricochet and the Boomerang, they can easily clear 2 waves of minions at different places of the map without really worrying about it too much.
Yeah, so we've spoken about how well Cloud9 is doing, but we haven't really spoken about how well Reason Gaming are doing. 300 farm on Orianna is pretty good for this stage in the game, but then you take a look at Gragas, who is 350 farm, which is absolutely absurd. Considering how much team fighting and action there's been, for him to carry on farming this well is crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. 0 deaths as well, 3-0 and 2 on Gragas, and it looks like Forbidden is, as predicted, having a great game here. As a lot of people have said that There are a good few members on Cloud9 that are just very consistent in their performances, and we're seeing that out of Odo Amna and Forbiven. They haven't died yet this game, and they look to engage.
Indeed, they have some very talented players that they're trying to batter down that inhibitor. Finally, Odone shows that he is human, taking some damage, and Binsu just trying to throw out some of that damage. Huge explosive cast gone to 2 will drop them below 50% on both of those champions. Sencooks will drop double kill for Caracas. This looks like the cleanup and indeed the game. Binsu is the last one standing. GG has been called by Chrisland.
The GGs have come out. Cloud9 rotate to the Nexus towers, and once again, an excellently played team fight out of Cloud9. They get a 5-0 ace, and we'll take game number 1 here of this best of 3 between Cloud9 and Reason Gaming in the Scan Invitational.
Wow, what a game, Stress. It really lived up to the hype everyone was expecting the game to be, the hype train. So, Cloud9 against Reason Gaming will be back in a little while. I don't know if you have any announcements here, Stress, before we jump to a quick break.
We will be giving away a Creative Sound Blaster Evo ZX headset at the end of the next series.